What's going on, DLP fam, and welcome to another episode of Eddie with the Biz. I am your host, Eddie T. Arnold Jr. of DLP Consulting Group, and today we're going to talk about feedback, the good, the bad, and the ugly. As human beings, we all want to feel good. We all want to feel comforted. We love that positive feedback. Everybody wants to get that, be gassed up with that positive feedback. It's important to take that feedback and feel your growth. Since this is a business show, we're going to talk about the business, and we'll leave that personal stuff to the side for now. Statistics show that over 98% of people will visit online reviews or reviews in general before making a purchasing decision. Of that 98%, over 82% will value the consumer review over what the brand is pushing. It's very important to keep that in mind when you're structuring your customer experience, right? We can market to our customers all we want, right? We can be the bright, shiny object, but we have to back that up in the customer experience, in our operations, in our mission, and push that forward. So let's talk about it, right? Every one of us, when we've gone to make a purchasing decision, has asked for our friends, neighbors, acquaintances, family, hey, have you visited this place? Have you driven a Honda before? You have this Honda Accord. I'm thinking about getting a new car. Is it economical? How's the gas price? And what's the build quality? And then it goes even further. Okay, well, where'd you get it? I got it from this Honda store, downtown Honda. Did you feel like they gave you a fair deal? Did you like your experience? Oh yeah, what do they say? Go see Norm down there. He's great. I was in and out of there at a certain time. I checked with X Honda dealership and Y Honda dealership and Z Honda dealership. They're the ones that gave me the upfront pricing. They had the most inventory. It was just an awesome experience. And then they go into it, right? Because they had such a great experience. So they're bragging about, number one, the business itself. Number two, the salesperson. Number three, their experience. And they're happy to tell you. Flip that on its head. Bad experience. Oh, I went down there. They told me one price. It wasn't the same price when I showed up. They wasted 2 hours of my time. I ended up walking out and going to another dealership. I would never go to that dealership. And it's bad mouth. So now they pass that negative feedback to you. So now you're thinking twice about going, right? You might check with someone else to see if they had the same experience, but ultimately that's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth. Now if you're that dealership, you have to overcome that. You can overcome that in different ways. Some people will leave feedback online, and then you have mechanisms to actually answer those questions on feedback. Just be careful. You don't want to get into a tit for tat with a consumer, especially when it's one consumer that may have had a bad experience. What you want to do is find out what led to that experience, talk to your salesman, and reach out to the consumer and see what you can do to actually make the experience better. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe they were given a price on an old invoice or a car that wasn't there and they didn't understand that. You can explain that to them, and if they understand that, now when they talk to their person who's asking for that feedback, it's not, I would never go there. It's, we had this, I was looking for a specific car. When I got down there, it wasn't there. And the individual, that I spoke to wasn't aware. So the time that we spent there was because the car was supposed to be there, but it was sold. It was a back-end process. Now it's still not great, but it's not that whole slanderous impression that they had before. So that's negative and positive, right? We want to make sure that we take that information and don't stop there, right? In that car example, what you're gonna do is now talk to your salesperson, now talk to your fleet person, talk to your finance person, whoever, and you're gonna go through things like, for example, in this instance, it's, hey, before we go into telling someone about a price, let's make sure that we read the board and make sure that it's not under contract, right? And if it is under contract, make sure that you then talk to the salesperson that is involved in that deal to see how far along the line it is, because that does a couple of things. One, it lets the salesperson know that, hey, someone else is interested in this vehicle. So if you get cold feelings on this vehicle and the person is, got cold feet, it gives them a barometer in which to know, well, hey, there's another person in their minds, there's another person that's looking at this vehicle, maybe there's some flexibility on some trim levels or whatever that this person might want. And we can talk about that. It actually just gives you more avenues to go down. Number two, the initial salesperson can talk to the buyer, in this case, the person that had the negative experience, and tell them, look, this car is under contract. Would you like me to figure out if there's another car with the same trim level that I can get from another dealership? Or would you like to come down and I'll be happy to go over the vehicle with you. We can test drive it. You can see if that trim level is exactly what you want. And then you can see some other colors, some other trims, and you can make that decision. And maybe by the end of that time, the person that's into the vehicle might not be into the vehicle anymore, but you're being open and transparent. The person decides then if they want to come down and visit and spend their time, but the expectation is already there. Now your feedback is going to be more positive because you set expectations, right? Feedback can be greatly influenced by expectations, okay? And it doesn't stop with just the customer experience. Let's talk about employees for a moment. Your employees want to feel engaged, want to feel part of the mission forward, and thus feedback from them is important as well. But I want to caution you as a business owner don't placate your employees, right? If you're going to ask your employees for feedback, take in the feedback, use it, right? If you ask for it, use it, or else it rings hollow. Businesses that actually collect feedback from their employees and actually listen and absorb it and utilize it to make the changes that are necessary because of the feedback that they ask for, have nearly a 15% better rate of retention than businesses that don't. So keep that in mind. It's not just customers, it's also employees. You want to make sure that organizationally that you have feedback as part of your organizational growth strategy, right? We'll go over a growth strategy in another video. In order to grow and scale, it takes a village. It takes a team, right? We don't do this all alone, right? So the feedback from valued employees, valued contributors that are going to be there and help with the building blocks for those that come afterwards are important, because if the customers are seeing it, the employees are probably seeing it. And if the employees are seeing it, the customers will definitely see it. So you want your employees to be comfortable providing that feedback so that you can circumvent some of the problems that you're going to see in your customer's experience. And that's just the truth. So for this coming week, I encourage you to take some of these lessons back and review what your feedback process is. Are you collecting feedback? If you are collecting feedback, how are you utilizing it? Do you think that you're asking the right questions, right? Review your feedback that you've gotten, both good and bad, in the past. See if your Google reviews have been answered. See if your Facebook comments have been answered. And then start that dialogue with some of these negative reviewers and thank some of the good reviewers. That goes a long way, that personal touch. But take some time this week, go ahead and review. As always, please like, subscribe, add comments to the back. Let's continue to build this small business community. Until next time, I'm your host, Eddie T. Arnold Jr., and this has been Eddie with the Biz. Thanks for joining.